Welcome to Linux Out Loud, episode 121. That is such a fun number to say. I'm Nate, mashing the start button as your player one tonight, with Wendy and Matt dropping in as co-op buddies, ready to run and gun their way through another stage of Linux, open source, and real-life boss battles. Although I know if I'm playing a game with Matt and we're supposed to be co-op, he will somehow be my enemy and shoot me in the back.
Most definitely. It'd be like playing with Ryan, 100%. Yeah.
Yes.
So to be fair, Nate, I won't shoot you in the back. I'll shoot you in the front, too.
Equal opportunity.
I appreciate that about you. So grab your virtual gamepad, watch out for the bottomless pit of broken updates, and get ready to sprint, jump, and power up your way through this side-scrolling adventure of Linux Out Loud. Matt, it sounds like you love doing data recovery. It is your favorite thing in the world. Could never go any worse than I got stuck in a wet paper bag on that one. I didn't know how to get out. So how's your recovery going?
Data recovery is going to require me to go to a different type of recovery. Namely the drinking type.
Oh.
So
indeed.
Anybody who knows me knows that I'm a big proponent of cold storage on data and certain things that your digital libraries of kind of having that ownership. Great concept. Only small problem is when technology doesn't work, technology don't work.
Yeah.
So I have a 12 terabyte or two 12 terabyte hard drives that I use as cold storage. I am currently using a Windows system for this particular computer and its usage. For some reason, installing those games from GOG, which is on the cold storage, onto this other system, Windows just obliterated the exFAT file system. Like obliterate. Like it shows up as all the data is free.
Huh.
I didn't format it.
Fantastic.
I didn't format the drive. That's the problem. So Windows is reading it as totally like, oh, you have 12 terabytes totally free. I'm like, no, I don't, because I know exactly how much data I had left on that drive, and that's not accurate.
Right.
So I tried plugging, because it's exFAT, so I tried plugging it into a Linux system. Tried doing, I think it's test test utility. I ran through that found stuff, but it couldn't fix stuff. So I was like, okay, it's a Windows caused problem. Linux can't always fix the weird esoteric Windows specific issues. So I'm going to use other Windows based tools. So I tried, I think it's WonderShare's Recover It first. Problem with that, it takes 12 hours to scan a 12 terabyte external drive. And what WonderIt does is it doubles the data. So I had 3 terabytes free originally left. WonderIt appends anything it recovers in your recovery as a -1 on every single file. The problem is it keeps the folder structure. So I have 700 different folders that I cannot actually tell it to hide duplicated data. So I have to go through every single one of those to get rid of duplicated data.
Sounds painful.
So
I know you have all of this free time to go through and remove all this duplicated data, right? Yeah.
Totally. All this free time. So there is a secondary utility that was recommended called, I think it's called Disk Driller, which is the name of it. And it's supposed to have an option to hide all duplicated data that it recovers. So if it does that, I don't care what the price is, because this has saved me a ton of headaches.
And hours of combing through the duplicated data. And now I know for sure that I have some duplicated data on drives. And it's because I'm not sure if something was duplicated or not. And I didn't want to erase it, especially if it's pictures related to kids. And so it would be nice for something to go through and be like, hey, this is all your dupes.
Well, so the problem with this one is the duplicated data causes the drive to explode as far as size. So I had 9 terabytes used. It showed up as a final scan result of 18. Or it was like 18.17 to be totally specific. The drive is only 12 terabytes.
So it can't be 18.
Yeah. So I literally have to go through and prune data, regardless of what I did. And I was just like, I don't have the time, effort, or energy for this nonsense right now. So, so for those that asked, yes, I tried Linux tools. Yes, I tried some of the Windows tools, and the result is all the same. They are all god awful. Disk test disk, whatever it's called, is a CLI program specifically. It's worked great for certain things in the past when I've had issues like this, but sometimes it can't fix the way Windows will nuke kind of the GPT or MS-DOS kind of boot flags and all the other stuff that a drive will generally have. Just been super annoying.
I'm incredibly curious now. So what was the root cause? Maybe I missed it because we talked about before the show how I'm a little bit slow sometimes, a lot. But what is actually the cause of the what was the? How did you break it? Is what I want to know. Like, what did you do? I want to make sure.
How did I break it?
What did you do to mess this up?
It was more of a question of what did Windows do?
Right. Well, you plugged in a Windows.
Well, that was
part
of the problems. Like, he did put it on a Windows system, so that was problem one.
I believe part of the problem. The thing is, though, there's a reason why I've kept everything exFAT, so it should have been able to be plug and play regardless of. But the way Windows decides to initialize a drive sometimes, oh, hey, there's a problem.
Right.
Even though you tell it to go away and not repair it, and it still reads the drive perfectly fine. Windows. No, I was installing a game onto this particular system. It did its thing, shut down the system, came back to do another install later, and just boot up the system. Windows goes to mount the drive. Hey, there's a problem with this drive. Problem is, this time you tell it to go away, it don't go away. It literally shows up as the drive having no data whatsoever. So I don't know what caused it. It could have been the shutdown. It could have been a variety of things.
Something in start back up. Something with mounting. Something,
It could have been a process running in the background because of how Windows does stuff. There's a myriad of things that it could have been.
Yeah.
So I'm not blaming specific. I don't. That's the thing. I specifically don't know what caused it because it wasn't I wasn't actively using the drive at the time. That's the thing that that's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it could
maybe Windows trying to fix the drive.
It might have. I know sometimes it likes to do check disk on stuff.
Know what it was. The AI, the recall was Copilot, whatever it is. Like, Matt doesn't need this. I'm sure of it.
Get rid of it.
It snapshotted the wrong thing into the wrong drive. But so needless to say, my experience with data recovery across the board is out of the 4 programs I've used in the last 2 days, 3 days, they're all garbage at the end of the day. And if you do not have the time, effort, energy, or willingness to put into it, hopefully you have multiple backups. So that is the key story there. Luckily, I have multiple backups. It's just they're on smaller drives, and the whole point of these drives was to actually consolidate. So if I have to go that route, I can. I just really don't want to. But yeah.
But you can if you absolutely have to.
Yeah.
Matt, this is not a feel-good story. We're supposed to have feel-good stories here on Linux Out Loud. And
you almost called it Linux Saloon.
What did I say? Linux Saloon? Linux
you
Saloon.
almost called it Linux Saloon, yeah.
Or Linux is always on tap.
Well, I hate to break it. I hate to break it to you, Nate. The next story is just not as good either, because Discord likes to do things.
Yeah. I don't have a happy story either.
Well,
as far as things go.
Okay. Well, fire away.
The biggest downside of finally ending up on Discord is like right after we got the Linux Out Loud Discord, right after I got the Linux Out Loud Discord set up, Discord decided that they were going to be doing something really stupid. And here at the beginning of March, they want age verification. So that's whether like you uploading your ID, which they promise they're going to get rid of, right? They're them or their third party vendor, like, it'll be fine. Trust us with your data is the last thing that you should ever believe. Yeah, exactly. And then on top of that, the other way that you can prove that you're like 18 or whatnot to access certain Discords or whatever, and kind of how part of LOL would be going if you're getting the more raw show, because there would be language in there, is to do like a face verification. So so like to see your face and to be able to tell if you're old enough or not, which of course people are already skirting that system. Kids are skirting that system. It's not a good way to do things either. And this is where Ryan and I agree, right? We're saying it's for the kids, but really it's another way to track you is the whole goal. And they're saying it's due to some of the EU stuff and that kind of thing for privacy data. I don't care. I don't want to deal with that crap. So Linux Out Loud will be leaving Discord. I'm just not entirely sure where we're going yet. Part of the reason why we stayed on Discord was you see how much time all of us have. So it has to be something that's like easy to moderate. Can't be one of those systems that we're spinning up ourselves and I'm having to maintain a server. I just don't have time for that. And I don't think any of the guys do either. So I'm not entirely sure where to go as far as where to move the community to.
So people are going to ask about certain things as it relates to this, because it's like, oh, it's just, you'll hear about, oh, go to TeamSpeak, use Mumble, use Ventrilo, use, you'll hear a myriad of, use Telegram, use blah, 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 use Matrix,
yeah.
So I'll speak to all of those because I've used probably 90% of them. They are all terrible for moderation in different ways. The one thing I will give Discord from a moderation and roles and permissions point of view is it is super easy to manage the group by doing roles for moderation.
Yes.
People won't understand that unless you've done it. And as an example, the moderation tools on Matrix, from our own experience, is terrible.
So, can I give I would say 2 cents, but I can't afford that much. So, so I've read through a lot of the articles and everything else, and unless if you're running a server that is not, I mean, Matt's not family friendly. He's probably friendly with his own family, but anyway, if
No.
I don't think it's going to be an issue. Like the way I see it is, so on the Linux Saloon Discord, there's not going to be anything that's even potentially concerning there. So I think like some of them, there are some Discord channels. There's a couple of tech ones that like have some naughty things in there, and like I don't have anything to do with that. Yeah. But and Matt would like it. I'm sure he'd be great. But anyway, Matt, he's giving me that look, or his video froze. Anyway, either way,
maybe both.
Could be both. Maybe he froze. Anyway, so the point is, there's already been no privacy on Discord anyway. So unless if you give them more things,
right,
it doesn't change anything. So I think I have not. I mean, they could verify with a credit card too. Really, if you pay for anything, that's an automatic verification as well. That seems like the great, fixer right there. If you can't pay for Discord with a credit card in your name, then you're not I don't know how big of a deal it really is. I mean, it's still. I mean, I've already seen some. Like I'm on Matrix still.
Right.
I've already seen some people say I've killed my Discord. I got it, but still, most people are on Discord, and I think I'm going to be one of those that just waits to see what happens, I guess.
And who knows what happens come March, right? Because March is when all of this is supposed to drop and change, and we can kind of wait and see at some point kind of what that overall looks like. Because as of right now, I don't really have time to go set up a matrix or anything like that at the moment. And that's the one that looks the best so far. And I won't be leaving Discord completely. So there's Nexus that runs through Discord. It's how we get notifications when our teams are up for matches and stuff at competitions and things. And so I'll still have it for those kind of stuff. And like I said, I don't know that the Linux Out Loud channel would necessarily, you'd have to verify, though we do have the backstage now. I was working on getting the patron set up for that. So most of you haven't seen that, but I did release the last show that did have some of the language and stuff. Some of the things that we say that doesn't make it to the regular show was in that one. And right, that one's not necessarily open to kids either. So I don't know. I know it's frustrating to see platforms taking these steps for sure. And people have been leaving them already. We kind of left it up to the community before we started our own Discord in the first place. So like a lot of people are like, we're already here. I don't know. It'll be interesting. Like I agree with what you were saying. It'll be interesting on the wait and see to see what happens. But at the same side of things, if it is an absolute mess, I don't want to wait too long because I'll be headed to Texas in April again, and then most likely, I haven't actually heard back, most likely California at the end of May. And so as we're prepping for competitions in other states, I'll just have less time to even set stuff up.
Well, I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
I think the disappointing part for me is I'm finally kind of getting into the Discord groove now. And so this is kind of how it goes for me. It took me, I've been on Discord since 2017, something like that. So it took me 9 years to finally get in the groove. I don't know that, Scotty once put it like this: there comes a time in a man's life when he just can't fall in love again. He knows it's time to stop. So I kind of feel like I'm that way with chat apps. I like Telegram. And I know that's not really very private, but
well, I know it's definitely the easiest way to get a hold of you. Like if you're not responding in Signal and I need a message from you faster, I'll just be like, hey, check Signal, or just resend you the message in Signal. Well,
that's because Signal kind of is the worst. So I don't, I'm sure Ryan will probably some not agree with me, but the reason is that, like, I can only have Signal on one phone. I can have it on a computer, no problem, multiple computers, but I can only have it on one phone. And so I kind of swap between, is it on my work phone or my personal phone based on how it's going. Like I got someone at work that uses Signal.
Gotcha.
Like there's only one guy that uses Signal in the entire organization. And so like if I don't have my work phone with me, he could use Teams like everybody else does in the organization, but he has to use Signal. Well, I mean, we're Microsoft, shop,
based organization. So, yeah.
If I can move away from that, I will. But anyway, that said, whatever I do, it's got to be sustainable. So my big thing at this point, and again, whatever you want to do for Linux Out Loud, I'm here to support. But whatever you do, it's got to be sustainable. And I'm all about self-hosting. Right. But some things I'm not self-hosting. Like for instance, all of my home assistant stuff, all of my personal things, that's all self-hosted. CubicleNate.com, not self-hosted. I actually pay WordPress.
Right.
And I pay them, the business plan worth every year. So that's not cheap. But I do that because I have certain expectations, and I'm using it for a lot of things, and it's got to be accessible all the time. I don't have time to dork around. I can use Matt's language. Dork around with the this SSL certificates and whatnot. And also, it's actually played in really nicely because I've moved two of the the two websites for the company I work for. They're now on WordPress also. It's actually, we're saving basically we're saving like $12,000 for the year by moving to WordPress. So
holy crap.
Yeah. And so that's moved to WordPress. And then we have all these plugins. We have more more functions and capabilities. Also, but it's externally hosted. And I have my own problems with that too, but I'll get sorted through. But anyway, the point of that is I'm very busy. I know you're very busy. Whatever you choose, it's got to be sustainable, and it's got to be something we can
100%.
actually, do long term. So I'm going to boil it down to this. What is it? My threat with Discord today, how does it compare to my threat with the other things out there? That's going to be my weight. Is it more threatening?
It's been so long since I've actually used Matrix that I don't even know the system at all anymore, is one of the biggest downsides of it. I know DL is back on Matrix, so they're both in Discord and on Matrix. And maybe if I've got a minute, I'll talk to Ryan and kind of see what that new setup and stuff was like, what the current moderation looks like for it, because that's one of the biggest things. I don't want to deal with the spam. I straight up don't have time to deal with the spam. Right. It's part of the reason why the Tux Digital form went away, is because there was, even though with the moderation that was on top of it, some of the moderators just flat out didn't have time anymore. There was issues with spam popping up. Way back, we were having issues with adult links popping up on there, and just all kinds of stuff that I don't want to deal with, that I don't want to take the time to deal with, because there's so much else going on that takes my brain power that shouldn't be and can't be on the to-do list. So it's part of the reason we don't have an official form anymore, and that's one of the things that I was liking about the Discord, was you could set up a form-like structure. Not that people have been using it. I do have it set up there, so it could be used for actual topics and stuff. I did post the show on there that way. It was an easy place to throw up the show notes so everybody could see it all, and then it was posted in all of the other places, and you had links to all of those places. So I did like that. I do like that setup. I do like that use case. I do have the Linux Out Loud URL. I haven't done anything with it at this point because, as I've said, I'm working on other stuff. So it just hasn't been and can't be top priority at the moment. I was going to say, like, hey, this summer I'll get a whole bunch of it done. It kind of depends on how much of a summer I get. So I don't know. We'll see. But I guess at this point, I started out with saying, hey, for sure we're moving off Discord. Let me put it this way. Hey, for sure we might be moving off Discord. I have no idea what that looks like. We'll kind of play it by ear.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know. You bring up some good points.
We're in a brave new world. We all knew things like this were coming. When you have, and not to veer into areas that are sensitive overall, but I know Discord has been used for some nefarious things in the last couple of years for coordinating nefarious activities.
But so has Telegram, and so has Signal, and so has many other platforms out there. So you have good actors and bad actors,
right?
Regardless of the platform.
But because of the way it's being wielded, it has an effect on, where governments can, since they have a monopoly on violence, they can cause pain to Discord, the company, and find them and all those other things. So they have to shield themselves from the that sort of fallout. So they're between a rock and a hard place. Right. I'm not sure. I mean, the internet stopped being fun about 2008. I would say that's about the time when things kind of started, getting a little,
the Wild West nature. The Wild West nature of the internet kind of went away in the early.
It was no longer the undiscovered country.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
when did MySpace go away?
About 2008, actually.
About 2008. Okay.
Yeah.
The end of MySpace basically signaled the end of the end of internet.
The fun era.
The fun internet. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But to kind of balance both your points. Discord is in a rock and a hard place as far as like government and that stuff. But I think it's also not wrong for the consumer to be super critical about a company who has not had the best data practices. They had not that long ago.
Breaches.
They just had 70,000 accounts get jacked not that long ago. They've been caught lying about not storing data that they said they didn't, and they did. How often do you look at a big tech company's privacy policy? Oh, it's in our privacy policy. Okay, cool. You tell people that you're going to delete it in 30, 60, 90 days, and it ends up being never. So
right.
Their company's data retention policies and the skepticism around them are earned by the companies themselves. And while I feel for Discord in a certain way, I also don't feel for them in a certain way because they do it to themselves.
They have put themselves in a harder spot based on some choices that they've made and data breaches that have happened. Yeah.
So,
right. Which is why
what we're going to do.
I agree. They have to be. I'm actually agreeing with you, Matt, which is why they're actually, I'm sure we actually agree 100% on all these points here. I want my privacy. Discord wants to exist. Governments are ruining things. So what can you do?
Find some wiggle room through the middle.
Right. And then you're self-hosting.
Yeah. Well, and self-hosting in and of itself comes with a cost, right? It's not like you can just self-host, especially with something that ends up with a lot of people on top of that. You need a larger server size. And what is that expense overall going to be in order to do something like that? I know it was part of what was going on with their Matrix server before, I think it was, is they were kind of paying per user for those who were for joining, and it ended up being a large overall cost for DL on top of that. So I don't know.
But I guess we will gladly take some suggestions of what people would like to potentially go to if they are out there.
Yes.
Yes. I know we tend to be a little more open source friendly first, but we're not against being pragmatists either. That's why we are on Discord, because pragmatically, it's the best tool for the job as far as moderation and stuff.
Has been the best. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love for someone to come in and take the reign on that and be better in all of the ways. So Nate, you hinted at the fact that you're doing a lot more with your website. And part of that is bringing Linux Saloon to cubiclenate.com.
Yeah. So since Tux Digital is not what it was, not the network anymore, I had to basically.
So I have to clear something up. Tux Digital is still around, but it is back to just being Michael's brand. So his new show under that is still a thing. Tux Digital isn't completely vanished from the face of the earth, but it's no longer the same conglomerate of shows that it was before. So there's that.
Linux Saloon is no longer part of Tux Digital anymore. So however you want to put that, whatever that means. I actually don't even fully know. I still talk to Michael all the time, but whatever. Anyway, so he doesn't have the time to basically massage and babysit all of us, independent shows. He's got new things going on. He wants to focus on that. I totally get it. I fully understand, and I support. In fact, what he's got going on is very exciting for his life, and I'm really, I'm going to be watching, not too from afar, because I talk to him almost at least weekly. So actually, he responds better than you do, Matt. So for whatever that's worth. Anyway, so Linux Saloon's gone independent. That's what the deal is.
Right.
So we have our own. In fact, I use the old Big Daddy Linux Live, rebranded it to Linux Saloon. So it's been around essentially. It was kind of dormant for a while. So brought it back from the witness protection program, and I've been utilizing that. And so I've been taking the time to kind of figure out Discord and whatnot. But anyway, which is why now that I finally put some time and effort into it, and actually I think I know what was causing me problems with Discord before, and why I think maybe I'm starting to warm up to it finally. Now that it's going to be, now the boot's coming down. So great, there goes Mount Vesuvius says, as I'm just getting having fun at Pompeii. So anyway, that said, I've been using Telegram anyways, kind of the core of Linux Saloon. But what's neat about Discord is I can use that for the streaming. And so I dumped Zoom in favor of Discord. So anyway, some other changes I made is now I'm actually going to be, since I'm not using any of the text digital automations anymore, I'm going to be doing my own show notes, which will be on cubiclenate.com. And I have like a landing page, cubiclenate.com/Linux Saloon, or you can just go linuxsaloon.com and it's a redirect, but it's not a perfect redirect. So like if you go HTTPS, it's not going to work because there's no certificate for it. It's, anyway, just the way the internet works. So just type in linuxsaloon.com, it'll take you over there. Also, I've moved, instead of using strawpoll.com, I now use cubiclenate.com for polls as well, which is kind of nice because, so I bought an extension for this for WordPress, and now I can use polls internally. But what's neat is I can then actually manage these polls, and then instead of having like the polls kind of fade away into the ether, now there's one place you can actually look at the history of polls. So right now, I have a couple of polls up there, and so I have there's currently a poll about if we should bring back the Linux Saloon Early Edition. So currently, as of the time of this discussion here, it's 94% in favor, 6% are not. And I think both of them were Matt. So it's like 30 some odd views, some odd votes. I just launched a poll yesterday. Also, I may as well get the ad dollars instead of strawpoll.com. So, it'll work in my favor as well. We're also this week, and I don't know when this is going to air or be released or pushed, whatever.
Saturday. So this should drop the day of your next show.
Got it. So we're testing out MX Linux 25.1 for our distro exploration. And so the poll is up there as well as far as how it's going. So now I can have multiple polls in one area. So and then as those polls close, I'll still keep them on there so people can actually look at historical polls and whatnot. So it's kind of a neat way to manage that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm learning some new things, which I guess may be a good thing. And then also, it just so happens it kind of coincides when I'm having like some breathing, little bit of breathing space at work too. So things are not as hectic. Now they will be in a couple weeks. As of today, some POs got approved. So anyway, yeah, that's for another discussion. Anyway, so it's been kind of a change. I'm putting a little more emphasis on cubiclenate.com because, well, it is my internet asset that I do have that does seem to be actually growing pretty nicely, and I'm hoping to basically make it a worthwhile investment. I've been actually that's 2026. So in 2016 is when I started cubiclenate.com. So it's been 10 years this year. Yeah, so I can't believe that. 2016 was only like 5 years ago, as far as I'm concerned.
Doesn't seem like it was that long ago. Yeah.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, I think maybe they're warping space-time somehow. But anyway, so I got 10 years of posts on the site and other pages and all kinds of things that I put up there. And I've got a lot of things kind of cooking for it also. And even have a shop on there as well, too. So I may as well take advantage of this wonderful capitalist system that we have, and if people find what I do valuable, then they can reward me for it. If they don't find it valuable, then they don't have to reward me for it. And so that's one of the beauties. So some exciting news for those of you who like to game. So Wendy, you and I, GOG treats Linux as the next frontier, maybe the final frontier. These are the voyages of the business GOG. So GOG has always branded itself as a DRM-free, game preservation-friendly store, but for years, Linux users have mostly lived on manual installs and Proton. So now GOG is openly calling Linux the next major frontier for this GOG Galaxy client. And I think they have like a mini Galaxy client. I don't know who does that one, but Matt first turned me on to that, and then I've been using Heroic since then. So hey, I guess we're coming back to GOG. I guess I don't know. We'll see. So the GOG Galaxy client, they're hiring a senior C++ engineer specifically to build the future. Interesting, it's a C++ engineer, not Rust, but I'm all for whatever. So this could be the difference between Linux being
is that what the original one is built in? Is C++? Or are they just for the Linux client writing that one in C++? I don't know.
I just know that everyone's talking about Rust to the point where I'm afraid I'm going to get tetanus. So, anyway, so they're hiring a senior C++ engineer specific to build the future, and this could be the difference between Linux being an afterthought and becoming a first-class gaming citizen in the GOG ecosystem. So what GOG is actually doing is their desktop client and ecosystem hub, library management, updates, social cloud features, is currently Windows and Mac OS only, which is, a big thumbs down to me because,
right,
reasons.
Which is why we've been using things like Heroic, right?
Right. And or Mini Galaxy. Do I have Mini Galaxy still installed? I don't even know.
I'm not sure. I think you can play. I'm not sure if Lutris will pull in the GOG games. One reason I like Heroic is because it will pull in the Amazon games too. Does it?
Yeah. So Lutris allows you to install the Windows version of GOG Galaxy, which is their current client.
Oh, okay.
Which is one I tend
so
to
inside
not
the client, you can install another client.
Yes. So people, this is where it'll get weird. People want to know why I'm not a big advocate of the catch-all that people try to put Lutris under. Why am I going to use a client to install a client when I have a native client that's going to do the same thing that the other client doesn't, and it doesn't rely on any weird breaks that the platform I'm on might have because of developments for a platform they developed for doesn't work on ours. To answer your question, it's C++ and it's written with Qt.
Sweet.
Oh,
Sold.
okay. Yes.
So their job posting is for the GOG Galaxy C++, and they explicitly say Linux as the major platform they're targeting. The role is about shaping the architecture, tooling, and development standards with Linux support in mind from the start, not just bolting on a port layer. So why this matters, it's beautiful. So why this matters is a native Linux-aware GOG Galaxy could mean better handling of Linux installs, dependencies, and Proton wine profiles. Because I personally have had issues with their. This is where Matt's gonna roll his eyes so hard I'll be able to hear it in my left earbud. That was my right earbud, by the way. I was having a hard time with SimCity 2000 because the audio wasn't passing through properly. And see, look at that harassment right there. I'm gonna call HR on you, Wendy.
I'm sorry, HR is also laughing.
In that case. So I've cleaned update
you're
rollback.
The one that's going to get in trouble, not me.
Well, typically you want to have the person that's the most offensive in HR. That's how you set the standard.
Oh, that's how. So my husband should be in HR then. Magneto should be in HR.
Yeah.
Okay,
mm-hmm.
Perfect.
And Matt should be in HR as well.
In HR. Okay.
Matt should be nowhere near HR.
I disagree.
Matt sometimes finds himself in HR.
But see, if Matt set the standard of what is culturally appropriate, it's a no holds barred. So, I think I said they've cleaned update and rollback flows and games on Linux. Fewer works on Windows only assumptions in their tooling. GOG putting money into Linux engineering as a signal to other stores and launchers that Linux is worth staffing for, not just leaving to the community. Now, honestly, I think at that point there kind of makes me a little bit sad, but also very happy. And I think one of the fun aspects for Linux for the last 20 plus years of Linux for me has been figuring things out. Like that's been the joy of it. But sometimes, it's a pain in the tuchus. So,
right.
Anyway, so I guess that's, as long as the community can still do things, that'd be good too. I'm sure it will.
Well, and I already have like my preferred system set up on my GOG account. So when I'm going to buy games, there are times it'll tell me, hey, there isn't a Linux native version of this game that you have in your cart. So just be aware of that. I haven't really had any problems running those Windows only games inside of Heroic. And it would be interesting to see, like I would like to compare side by side the GOG Galaxy built for Linux and Heroic, which I'm currently using, and how well does that play differently? I know we've been having some issues getting the GOG version of oh gosh, no, I can't remember the game, but one of the games the kids have been playing recently, been struggling to get that one to update properly. I might just have to remove it, hopefully making sure I have all of their game data backed up, because there's like well over 100 hours of gameplay on there, which I think my kids, Hollow Knight, I think they might be really, really upset if all of that goes away. So I need to make sure their actual gameplay data is backed up before like removing it and trying to reinstall it. So I would still have their gameplay data. But yeah, I wonder if that would fix some of those issues that we're having there on specific games.
So it's interesting seeing this kind of shift in GOG. Because for anybody who knows, GOG was up until recently owned by CD Projekt Red. Now, CD Projekt Red is the guys who make the Witcher games, the Witcher 1, 2, 3, Cyberpunk, 2077.
Okay.
So that's who had owned GOG for a long time. One of the original owners from CD Projekt Red bought GOG from CD Projekt Red. So anything that is currently happening has been because of what the OG owner now that owns GOG has been saying. And he was the one talking about Linux being kind of the new gaming frontier. So this change in direction is very much done by the new owner specifically.
Okay.
And to Nate's point, I like the fact that these guys are essentially going the Vivaldi route with GOG, where they're trying to make Linux a first-class citizen in consideration of developing its platform. Which the biggest perk that I've always talked about with something like Vivaldi, it doesn't feel like like Linux builds are an afterthought. Now you can talk about whether or not Vivaldi is the right browser for you, but like the things with like Firefox and Brave and Chrome and Chromium and all the other stuff, all the builds always feel secondary because something doesn't work the way it should, because like on the other platforms, some don't have hardware acceleration, some don't have this, some don't have that because of, Linux this, Linux that. Whereas Vivaldi is just like, no, you can have hardware acceleration. Here you go. We don't care. Like they put in the work to make it work on the platform. There's just certain things that I like about people and developers doing that, because it makes me want to spend money with you, use your product, because you actually are supporting the platform that I prefer.
Yeah, I'd love to say you're wrong, but I can't. Although I will say I feel like Firefox has been really good as far as Linux first in many ways. I mean, maybe they haven't been, but I find that my Firefox experience on Linux is better than Windows.
I think some of it was with like the Firefox applications in addition to, so like their VPN setup and some of those things they didn't necessarily have Linux clients for. Yeah,
I didn't want it anyway, so whatever.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'd been useful for somebody, but so I guess the question I would ask you then is, what would a good citizen GOG client on Linux look like to you? So something especially like with Matt, who hoards games like a 70-year-old Polish grandmother hoards Tupperware.
Nate, how much tech are you hoarding out in the cubicle lab right now?
Tech? I don't hoard it.
Yeah,
I collect it. And put it on display.
There you go.
No, you're right.
Anyway,
I hoard it like an 80-year-old grandmother. So anyway, so what do you think? What do you think that looks like to you? Like when you so for instance, right now, I love Heroic. Heroic is just spectacular. So 100%. What is it going to take? What would it take to pull me away from Heroic and use GOG Galaxy? That'd be my question.
For me, it would have to be a better experience than the current one, like the current standard error.
Yeah.
So
agreed. So what make it better?
So the better obviously is going to be kind of relative, depending on users and etc. So certain things that GOG, the Galaxy client, at least originally, it was supposed to be able to pull in, say, your Steam account, say your, it's supposed to be able to pull in your Steam games, your like everything. Like it was basically one client for everything. Like that was the pitch. So if you had stuff on Ubisoft Connect, if you had stuff on EA, if you had stuff on Origin, all the other stuff, and it just aggregated it into one thing. You clicked the play button, it just launched the right thing. You never saw the other browser, or like all the other crap that went with it. That to me is the ideal dream. How it handles Proton is especially if it's Linux specific, that's going to be the big thing. I know there's a lot of movements to kind of, I don't want to say degate kind of Proton from Steam, as it were, even though it's open source and it really is already with like Proton GE and all the other branches and forks and everything else that are available for it. So how it handles that will probably be the biggest differentiator. I know Heroic has tried doing a few different things with Proton and that stuff. You have the wine manager and all that stuff, but if say it's a new game and say it pulls in from like SteamDB, if there's ways to pull in Proton fixes that a game, like I'm trying to think of the right way to word that. If it can pull in like some of the wine fixes and the Proton fixes and all that stuff that a game it knows needs. Like there's one game, it'll run, but it doesn't run well. It might be Batman Arkham Knight. It has an issue if you don't have NVIDIA physics installed, even if you don't run have a NVIDIA card. But because it relies on physics, which for those who don't want to know, it's open source. So, hey, do what you will. NVIDIA actually did something nice.
Right.
You have to go and use Proton Fix in order to download that from within Heroic to get that game to launch. So unless a newer version of Proton GE or whatever fixes that issue. So if there's ways for that to seamlessly enhance the gaming experience where you tinker less, I think will be the really big differentiator between, say, Heroic and something like Galaxy.
Well, and part of the reason I use Heroic is because it does pull in multiple sources. And so just using the GOG Galaxy app would mean that it's a one place for those games, but it's not pulling in games from other places, right?
No.
That would be a downside.
The intent, that would be a downside, but the intent of Galaxy is to not be that. It's not a one-stop store. It's not just pulling. Exactly. It's not doing it. It's not doing what Steam does. It's not doing what the EGS store does. It takes the concept of Heroic and expands it to all digital stores. So if you have stuff on,
so it would be a step up supposedly from where I am with Heroic.
It wouldn't be just it wouldn't be just GOG or Epic or Amazon, which like the current Heroic offers.
Yeah.
GOG Galaxy would be, if you have Steam games installed, it would pull those in. It would pull in your GOG games. It would pull in your Epic games. Everything's right there. Like,
nice.
The initial concept of Galaxy was cool. The problem is there really hasn't been much in the way of development on currently on it as a project. But
so maybe again, that will change with hiring this developer and fully fleshing out that dream.
Yeah. Well, this reminds me of the guys who do Play Night, which is kind of like a launcher as well, but it's more of a TV style console experience. That's kind of like Steam Big Picture mode. They talked for a long time. They're like, no, we're not doing a Linux. We're not doing Linux. We're not doing Linux. one of the founders recently came out not that long ago talking about bringing Play Night over to Linux, but making it a good Linux experience. Wow. So that to me is super cool.
Who owns that one?
Play Night is an open source project.
I'm excited to see what happens. I can't imagine it's going to like cut into Heroic or Lutris or anything like that. It's just going to be just another way of doing it. Recently, I installed on this machine and on my Atari VCS back there, right there, the NVIDIA GeForce Now, so I can play, Fart Night with the kids. And that was that's actually a really great client, honestly. I mean, you have to log in, do dual factor authentication, log in for like 3 different things. Like,
oh wow,
it was like NVIDIA and then Microsoft and then Epic, because the way it was just silly. Anyway,
the way you did your login stuff, yeah.
So it was. I felt like Indiana Jones, like unlocking something, get to just so I can play Fart Night. Anyway, so how do you see like real Linux specific hiring compared to what you see in, like, for you, Wendy, like in the robotics and education spaces? Do you feel like this is a turning point for because if there's a Linux client out there, there's more kids potentially interested who kind of get their footing in technology through gaming. Do you see this as something that might be a promotion of Linux as a whole?
Possibly. Like our house isn't a great way to look at that, because my kids are already on Linux. Like that's what they know. That's what they've been using for the last however many years. And so to them, they're most likely to gravitate to that when they leave the house. The laptops that I just gave to a local charter school so they can start using Pybricks to code their robots on was running Zorin on them when I handed them over. So, kids are being exposed to Linux that way because of the whole hardware, right? Windows 11 can't run on the older hardware. And so what do you do with all of that technology? Hey, use Linux. And you've had all of these tech YouTubers that have been like, hey, I'm checking out Linux. And so I think it's just in one of those times because of decisions that other companies have made. And because I think Steam really is kind of still a driving force to this, because when they developed their Steam Deck, right, it's running on a Linux base. They're developing Proton to make that work. Now so many games work on that. And I think it's easier for now these later platforms like GOG, which already had a really great mission, to be honest, with game preservation and the like, to be like, hey, I think it's a good idea to go ahead and jump on this bandwagon and add an official Linux client, to which I am very internally grateful for all of the positives that Linux has been seeing over the last year and a half. And unless something like bad happens overall, I think this is a momentum that could potentially keep it going. I don't know.
I actually will say that I'm surprised that there wasn't a Linux client sooner, really, because it's like, the whole notion of owning your titles, even if they're in digital form, and then Linux is owning your own, owning your technology. Windows and Mac OS are not really, arguably. So it seemed natural to me. So in a way, when I read this, I was surprised yet not surprised. I guess it's like, oh, I guess they don't. No, that's Mini Galaxy. That's something different. So I didn't actually pick up on that, really. So I don't know. I guess we'll see how it goes. But it's interesting. So, as someone who cares about local libraries and ownership, what would actually make you see using GOG client on Linux instead of just grabbing the installers running your own way?
Because I already run them through a client. Like I don't typically, even if I've got a Linux native, go ahead and just install it natively. And I think it's more because I remember the Windows days, right, where you had all the games installed individually, and you end up with all of this cruft, I would say. that gets built up with the games that you install and uninstall and all of that. And then I have a separate games drive, right, that everything gets installed on. It doesn't get installed on my boot drive. All games get installed on a specific, you read it in Dolphin, hey, it says games. It is the games drive on both this system and the kids' system out in the living room. So I like the way that being able to use a client in general kind of keeps those games contained in a specific spot. I can choose the folder in which they're being installed on that's not part of the main boot drive and those other user files. It's completely separate. And I find that to be an advantage of using a client over just, even though it's a Linux native game, pulling in the files and installing it.
I think I have downloaded a bunch just because, but I find that at this point, like I've been using Heroic to manage it all, and I just kind of like that.
Right.
Now, what I kind of wonder is if there's a way, if let's say I use the GOG client, if there's a way to like port or to move like those installs and saves over, like if that even be possible. That'd be
yeah, and I don't know, because I know that like if I've got a game installed in Heroic and then I do like a fresh install over top, then I can say, hey, refind this game here. I've done that multiple times, which is quite nice. But I don't know how well those two file systems would play well with each other. If I've had these games installed in Heroic, can I just be like, hey, I also have this game installed in GOG and just point to the same place? That would be cool if that could happen, and pick up where you left off there. But I don't know that they'll necessarily play nice with each other.
Yeah, I'll let Matt work that one out as far as how to do that. And then, if it matters,
the multiple locations for games and stuff.
Yeah.
The way I currently understand it is when you go to add, at least the way last I looked at Galaxy, the implementation was you log into your account and it pulls the data from your account settings about where you're pointing your games to install.
Oh, I do like that. I do like that.
So, example, like in Steam, when you go to the storage tab and tell it where you want to install games and blah, 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 and all that stuff, it takes that information from the client portion and puts it into Galaxy. So it kind of has an idea of where it's going. So you still have to sign into so what it's doing is it's still taking the account information because you still have to sign into these accounts. And then it's just taking the settings information about where the default locations of games are being installed, generally speaking. And then importing them into one singular client for you. At least
which that's the way is nice. Yeah.
That's the way it's supposed to work. It's been a little broken.
Will it actually work that way?
Well, some of it's API changes, I think, on certain things with how the other clients like EGS and whatnot work, as opposed to more a Heroic issue or a Galaxy issue. But I like the work that GOG's doing, always have. And like Nate, what you were talking about, where it was like, why don't they have why don't they already have a client for Linux, digital ownership and all the other stuff? It seems to kind of go hand in hand. A lot of it, I think, is because it was done by a game company, first off, which was CD Projekt Red. CD Projekt Red's experience with the Linux community hasn't been, shall we say, stellar. So when they
and that less than positive experience is kind of painted
it paints the rest of the interaction kind of lens.
Yeah.
And all that stems from the porting of The Witcher 2 over to Linux because they used virtual programming's essentially Proton layer at the time for The Witcher 2 as opposed to a native port. And the community blew a gasket about it. And say what you will, the irony now is, what do most of us use that do Linux gaming? Something similar to the virtual programming thing. It's called Proton.
Yeah. I would say that the one thing that I'll be interested in seeing, because I'm going to try it out And the Heroic often pulls in the Proton GE, the Glorious Egg Roll version. And so I'm wondering if GOG will be able to do that because of some of the rules around it. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how that works out.
How it looks in the end, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see. Yeah. It has to do with which libraries are redistributable.
Like I said, I think the biggest thing is it'll be interesting to see how it handles Proton-specific stuff. I think will be its biggest differentiator, along with what accounts it can pull in and how seamlessly it does that. I think that those two will be the biggest differentiators between, say, that and like Heroic or something.
Yep. Well, I know regardless of how well GOG Galaxy ends up working on Linux, I don't see me stopping buying games from them anytime soon. The last, I don't know how many games I've bought have all been from GOG. So,
yeah, I think I remember somebody bought a game last time we recorded. I can't remember who
show. I think we both did.
You both did.
While recording, yes.
Totally wasn't me. I don't know what you're talking about.
Who would enable that? I guess is really the question that we really need to answer.
You two enabled yourself by hitting the buy button.
Whoa.
Well, I also got a free game too because you had recommended the free game that was also available on GOG. So I had paid and free games all at the same time. So there's that.
Win. Well, I guess what's also crazy is that the stage is clear for this episode of Linux Out Loud, level 121. Wendy, Matt, and I are heading back to the overworld map to swap gear, save progress, and unlock the next area of Penguin-powered projects and pixel-perfect tinkering. Until next time, keep your extra lives ready, your configs backed up, and thanks for joining us for another awesome sode of Linux Out Loud.